So I'd like to welcome our expert panelists, Luis Rodriguez from Aquila, Hadil Shaneen from RSP, Carolina Fong-Guzzi from Essentia, Dr. Bhakti Moore from Manipal Academy, Farah Naz from Burpo Hapol, Hina Yamak from AESG, and Raja Abu Alruz from Trimble. So welcome, ladies. Sorry, just gonna get a mic real quick. Okay, fantastic. All right, so the first, this topic of inspiring this next generation of professionals. I look around at our panelists, I look out into the audience, and I see amazing, capable women in the industry who have shown their expertise, they have shown their intellect, they are growing with the industry, and at various different stages, various different experiences and different backgrounds. So I want to just kind of start off and, maybe if we can just go through very quickly an introduction of yourselves and what your background is, because we do have women from construction, engineering, architecture, software engineering, every different avenue of the built environment. So if we can just start here.
Thank you. So I'm Farah Naz. I head up sustainability and innovation for Burpo Hapol Engineering. I'm trained as a building services engineer from UK.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bhakti More. I was with the design industry for many years here with Storm Consultants, and I'm now with Manipal Academy of Higher Education for the School of Design and Architecture.
Hi, I'm Carolina Fong. I'm a civil engineer with a master's in project management, and now I work more into the software for construction.
Hi, I'm Hadil Shaneen. I'm leading up the design team in RSP. I've been working there for 8 years in the design, so yeah.
Hi, I'm Luis Rodriguez. I am a freelance project manager and I work for a company called Aquila. I've been working and living in Dubai for 11 years.
Hi, I'm Hina Yamak. I'm an architect and now I work as a facade designer at AESG, and it's my first year in Dubai and happy to be here.
Hi, I'm Raja. I'm a software engineer at Trimble Solutions Middle East since 2011. I graduated as a software engineer from Zaytun University of Jordan.
Fantastic. So as we can see, we've got obviously a huge swath of different disciplines, different trades in the industry. I just wanted to point out a couple statistics that I found fascinating. Recently, the World Bank published their forecast for GDP growth, which they did downgrade a little bit, but it was still at 3.6% growth on a global international scale. And in the construction-related industry, that growth does actually have a larger proportion of growth to GDP numbers. So that's going to put us in a position where we have expected increase in construction and construction-related jobs and projects, which means we need a larger labor force. We know that as females, we are a minority already in the industry, and I would just like to kind of open it up to the panel. Louise, what do you see as some of the barriers to entry today from women entering into the construction industry?
Thanks, Morgan. Some of the issues that we've got are not gender specific. There's a known shortage of young people entering the industry, and that'll start from school level, which takes you through to university. So university entrance figures are really low. That's impacting employment figures. So employers today are struggling to recruit, and ultimately that drives up the cost of construction, because if there's a lack of supply in the market, the demand goes up and the costs of the industry will just rise generally. Specifically to females in the industry, I think there's probably a little bit of a fear factor. A lot of the ladies here today have raised that they're often the only female, in a meeting, running a team. They're representing a minority all over several different industries in tech, building and development. And I think it's just being brave enough to not see yourself as a minority, to stand up and be able to speak and represent, because there isn't anything that a guy can do that we can't. So it's just not seeing yourself as somebody who's different.
And Louise, you've been in the industry for a long time, and you've spread your expertise between the UK and the UAE. Did you see anything different of how the perception from young women in the UK versus the UAE? Have you seen a difference there culturally? Did you see anything different from young women growing up in the industry, or just curious about your thoughts on that?
I think the minority feel is exactly the same in the UK as it is here in the Middle East. I actually feel I've been here for 11 years and things have changed dramatically in 11 years. There are lots more females in the industry now than when I first came here. But yeah, I think they both probably struggle in a similar fashion.
And Dr. Bhakti, I know that with Manipal Academy, you're focusing on obviously overseeing the design department, the architecture department. Are you seeing an increase or a decrease of number of women who are interested in the field, or what are you seeing from your side?
Yeah, what I see the numbers of students enrolling for design programs, the number of female students are much higher. I would say the ratio is 80 to 20%, whereas when I graduated 20 years back, it was exactly different. So I can see that there are more girls coming into the program, and they're very committed, they are very sincere. But as you said, the barriers, there are two types of barriers that I feel. One is a cultural barrier, where sometimes they have family constraints and they said, do you really want to do your career? So they are very capable, but due to some pressures from the family, they may not enter the construction industry. But it's changing now, and more girls are coming and doing really great work. And then the second barrier, sometimes I say, there are companies calling and say, there is a job for a site, but we need really good graduate, but can you send a male student? And then we say, no, we have students who are really capable, and we send some female students who really perform so well, and the same company now calls and says, do you have good students? So I'm really happy that the perception is changing. It will take time, and the number of students are increasing who are female in this profession. So that's a good thing.
That's great news for all of us. I mean, I think we'd all like to see more women around the table in meetings. Now, you mentioned something very interesting, that a lot of women, especially when they are going through the education, they somehow have other family commitments, and that is one of the main drivers. We did see that earlier in the discussions. It was a main focus of how do women stay, not only how do we keep them into the career track, but how do you keep them in the career track? And I'm curious that a lot of, especially the design-related fields and some of the engineering requires, hard internships and apprenticeships in the UK, in the US, and the UAE. Do you see that as being a hindrance to women because of trying to balance the family dynamics, of trying to do these apprenticeships? What are you seeing?
I think the internship program that we have, it's a 1-year program before the graduation. So that's a long time to really understand what the industry is all about, and it gives exposure to everyone to know that what are the challenges that would be there in the real time. And important is to engage the industry while the students are in the education. So having live projects, giving them competitions, or engaging them at every type of collaboration that is possible, maybe workshops and seminars, and connect every time the academics to the industry through different forums is also very important. So to keep them industry ready is important. At the same time, the mentorship program that we have just introduced, it's called Manipal Beyond Gender. So it is identifying certain students who have the potential, and they are mentored with industry professionals. So they can really structure their career paths and what are their aspirations, and then they can map up, and that really helps them, because the students of today talk to the gadgets more than each other. So this is something that can really connect them to people, and they can share and exchange, because they really don't talk a lot to people. And this program has been really successful because we see them connecting to the industry.
That's wonderful. And Raja, I know that you had also participated in the full stack development program, and because you work with Trimble and you work in a different side of the business, are you seeing a trend of more women coming into the industry? Are you seeing a decline, or what are your thoughts on how
Well, definitely. I came from different scope. I'm a software engineering background, and when I was in high school and in the university, I've never thought that, okay, I'm gonna join a BIM software technology. I mean, just to work there and put all the knowledge that I gained and the skills that I gained through all my years, like working as an IT help desk or as a developer in Jordan. The moment I joined Tekla, that by then in 2011, I came to know that okay, they're doing great. Like they're doing in digital engineering. They're providing BIM solution for the customers, and just to automate the routine tasks that contractors and engineers are doing. So yes, technically, I mean, regardless the background that you have enrolled, or regarding the profession that you have, you will be able to manage and find the balance between what you gained in universities and what you apply in the office. So you just need to know, you need to have the positive hunger of absorbing information and implement that in your office.
It's a great point about just being open and absorbing as much information as you can. And I'm just curious, and open it up to the panel of, can anyone share some of the insight of what inspired you to go into it? I know there's a lot of barriers of entry. We have a lot of bias of, it is being male dominated, and it can be a little bit of fear, as Louise mentioned earlier, that there's maybe a stigma attached to it. Can anybody offer an inspirational, a story of how they got inspired to go into the industry?
If I may start, I think it starts from home, because when the children are between the age of 6 and 10, that's when they psychologically they start developing the idea of role model, consciously or subconsciously or unconsciously. And I think that's a key time to introduce children to different subject matters, have play, working by learning type of experience, by Googling different professional work, to really get them inspired about what the plethora of professions out there. Because in UK, I did a lot of work with school children, and they usually think engineering and architects and interior designers are the only 3 professions available for construction. But surveying, digitization, there's so many other different inspiring topics that they can learn and understand. So I think it starts from home. Every person who is present today in this room is an inspiration and a role model for someone. And I think it starts from our home, our cousins, our friends, daughters, and sons, to start having those conversations in a really early stage. Because most kids will either say, I want to be a teacher, because that's the role model they see every day in their classroom, like teachers are inspiring them. So I think creating that spark of inspiration, not just about construction industry, but about any industry, and having those conversations at home is very key.
So actually bringing the conversation to a younger audience, where there's a lot of focus on university programs,
Exactly.
There's a lot of focus on high school programs, but you're even bringing it back even further to that developmental stage where you're already creating and exposing the children to what different career paths they may have for themselves.
Exactly. Sure.
And Carolina, I'm curious about your experience on this, because you do have a background as a civil engineer, you're a project manager, and you've shifted careers. So you're a great example of, you may identify a career path that you think you want to go down, and you've kind of made a shift over to something different. So how did you know that was there for you? Was this an outreach? Was this something you were...
Yes, so I would say that actually the change of path was a little bit of destiny, or God, because first of all, I agree with that the role models comes from home. Because in my personal case, I'm a civil engineer, which is not that common yet, and my mom is a geologist. So I grew up with a mom who worked in the oil and gas industry, and in the 80s, that wasn't that common back then. So for me, day one, I have that example at home, like you're mentioning. And I decided to study civil engineering because I really liked math. And I think part of what is really important to inspire new generations into not only construction, but all the fields that are male-dominated, and to have a really more balanced workforce, is to break all the paradigms and all the ideas that we have. Because maybe when you grow up, you heard, oh, that's for men, or no, that is just for girls. So in my case, I feel that I didn't have that in my mind, so I chose my career really freely without thinking if I'm a woman or a man. And then I changed paths because I was contacted by Autodesk, which is a great software company back in the US. And that's why I'm now working more towards the software for construction. But to be quite honest, software and Raja can tell us this is the same. It's also male-dominated, and if you see schools and the percentage of graduates, male, female, it's always engineering, construction, and manufacturing, and software and tech-related disciplines that are...
And that's interesting, because I would have thought that on the software side that you would see more forward-thinking, and it would be a little bit more on the cutting edge, just probably about an
And I would like to comment on what she was talking about, like, and what you were asking for changing careers. I mean, career success means different things to different people. It's just a matter on how willing you need to change, the way that, like, you need to be bold enough just to go and say that, okay, I want this career and I will do whatever it takes just to reach, to reach, because if you're ambitious enough, you can still, reach whatever you want to be. So yes, and you need just to be like hard worker. You need just to be more flexible about like what subjects to take, and then let it go. It will just
believe in yourself.
Be successful.
In the end.
Being bold, bold, like we were talking about.
There's not enough exposure to the types and the variety of options, career options there are in development and construction. And I'd love the challenge of meeting a group of young people, them telling me what their interests are, because I'm pretty sure I could find something in the industry that they would be really good at and really enjoy. My motivating factors for joining the industry are because I did not want to sit at a desk 5 days a week, tap, 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 12 months a year. And we get to go outdoors, meet really interesting people, we get to travel, and it's really good fun. So
I would like to add a point. I think sometimes there's a perception in the younger generation that if you study something in university, you're stuck with that subject for the rest of your life. Yeah. And having the boldness and the sincerity within yourself to change profession sometimes for a few years, just to see whether you fail or you success, is a very key component. Because the reason I'm saying this is I'm doing sustainability for the last few years, but I started as an architect, but trained as an engineer. So I changed profession 4 times in 4 different continents. And I'm not saying that you go to different continents to change your profession, but having that horizontality career move and having that openness really helps individual to become well-rounded. I think that's a key component. Sometimes the younger generation, or as a woman, we are kind of scared because we look for security. But breaking that boundary actually creates a security that you can't even think of.
Well, it's an interesting point, because earlier when we were talking on the health and safety, we were chatting about women on the construction site and whether or not you're comfortable at different stages of your career. And pivoting your career is a very important point of being able to be agile. We love this industry, but if you're not comfortable because of a change in circumstance in your personal life, there are opportunities to kind of correct and to pivot onto something else. I mean, Louise, I know that you had switched to basically doing freelancing and brought in this availability of an adaptable workforce, and it makes sense. I mean, it's looking at where the model is currently and adapting it to future growth.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity, but also the kind of millennials and the young people that are going to make up the future workforce over the next 7 to 10 years, they're not really focused on ownership. They want flexibility, and they're really experience-driven. So I think the culture of the workplace, the stuff the guys were talking about in the last panel, it's really going to change. I don't think we're going to be in offices 9 to 5 anymore. I think there's going to be a lot more, working from home, pulling resources from overseas. It's going to be a very global operation. So I think it's
Hadil, are you seeing the same thing from RSP? Like, you lead design, you have designers on your teams. Are you seeing that there is a desire to create this flexible working? Do you guys allow for flexible working arrangements, and how does that work?
Yeah, so basically I'm working in the design industry, and what I do is I lead a team of designers, and we select actually the good talent freshly from university, and we sculpt them, and we train them, and we polish them to become the designers that they should be. So, and we encourage all young women, you know, like when we go to interviews, we do not look at gender, we just look at the quality of work, the willingness, the eagerness, and we give all the support, you know, because this is what being a woman in RSP, I'm given as well. I'm given the flexibility, I'm given the support. I don't want to go back to the maternity leave thing, but because I'm a mom of two, I'm as well, you know, being supported by RSP, and because of that, I do give the support as well to all the women that are working in the team. So working hours, the thing is with our field, with design, it's all about openness, it's all about talking about ideas, it's all about, so it can be done, you know, in an hour. If someone is, you know, if someone needs to work from home, that they can do that. So basically, work is not only about staying in the office and working, it's about exchange of ideas, especially when it comes to design. So we do provide that, you know, because we are in that environment, we encourage that flexibility at work.
That's fantastic. And, you know, the benefits of having those, you know, flexible work hours, obviously there is a benefit to being in the office and being collaborative with your peers. But as you've mentioned, you know, being a working mom, being able to have that adaptability is key. And Hina, I'm curious because you've, you know, come into facade engineering with ASSG and AESG, and you are fresh out of university.
Sure.
And so congratulations.
Thank you.
But I'm curious to on your opinion, because a lot of us around the table have been in the industry for quite a few years,
Yeah.
and sometimes we can get a little stuck in our ways. But curious, like, you know, what are women looking for that your colleagues, your peers, your age group, are the benefit levels of having flexible work schedules? Is
Yeah,
that
sure.
what people are looking for? What do you see?
Yeah, well, to answer that, to me, actually, it's for the previous question. It was actually, it's a chain, it's an interconnected chain of building the personality of a woman to be able to step up and say, okay, I don't want to do this, or I want and to define what she wants to do after then. Graduating and passing like 5 years at the university and like taking intensive courses, you will have a general knowledge about everything, especially in architectural engineering, where architects are actually exposed on the different sides of engineering, not only in designs. So when you graduate and you find yourself, okay, I have all this knowledge, now what? What should I do? So then it comes the master's degree, and like where it defines more your shape of the next professional life. But even though it's not enough. So I think it's from engaging the students or engaging the young professions from the early stages of education, maybe from the 3rd, 4th year of education, not only not only with internship, maybe with workshops, maybe with lectures. These steps would help the student to build his professional personality more, and then he will be ready to go to the industry. By then, he will be able more to know what he wants from the industry, rather than like be exposed there and not knowing what is required from him to do. I think this is the gap. This is the gap between the professional life and the educational or the academic life. We graduate as a student, and some students like just say that we are not having the chance to get involved into the industry and the big companies. But this is not the issue. It's his issue. It's the issue of the connection between the companies and the universities and the students.
So the idea of companies getting in earlier with university students and getting them, you know, maybe,
Yeah.
you know, hand-holding and pulling them in.
That's
and
true.
This is one of the things that we are very lucky,
Well,
or I'm very lucky with.
We can actually stress on what she was saying. There is a role between now organizations and educational institutions to go in parallel and find, because for some organization and companies that provide solutions, so institutions should take an advantage of that and to be aware about what is the trend now in the market and what are the solutions available in the market, to embed that in the curriculum itself, and make it available for the students to use and I mean to explore more. So the moment that students are aware about what's there in the market, so it's not about gaining lessons take the lesson and just go home, do the graduation project and just go home or find a position in the market. I mean, students need to be familiar about the tools available in the market, hardware, solutions, so we'll be very confident to go and say that, okay, in the market there is this position, so I'll be fulfill this one, I mean, without hesitation.
Yes, what I actually recognized that at some companies that I visited, and so they have special requirements. Like they are requiring like one person that have a general knowledge as the student has. It's also requiring a specialty, or it's always requiring a person that can do this and that can do that. So, and this is that the students are not aware from. They go and they ask for jobs and so on, but they are not specialized yet. For women, from my experience actually, when I did the master's, I went to go furthermore for the practical knowledge or for the practical experience. So I went to a construction company in the Netherlands, and I went there, and I was the third lady in the engineering department, and the engineering department had more than 60 employees. And I was the third lady. One of them was a part-timer, one of them was a full-timer, and it was me, the intern. So it was a shock to me, like, where am I going? Where are the people? Where are the ladies? Why?
Do you feel that you had to push harder because, looking back on it, being one of 60 and being a female, did you actually have to get a bit more bold in taking that opportunity? We've been hearing about that a lot lately. Is women, we as a general rule, this is not every case, and it's a vast generalization, but we are not as good at standing up for ourselves as maybe our male counterparts, of putting ourselves forward, putting ourselves out on the line. Did you see that as being an issue?
True. This is definitely true that women or young ladies, or let's say the young professional ladies, should have the self-esteem and should have the self-initiative. You don't need anyone to push you or to tell you to go further. It should be from yourself. It's a personal thing. So to me, like, I went there and it was a shock to me, but maybe someone else would say, no, it's not my job. I won't be there. But I said, no, why not? I can do as much as that man is doing. So yeah, that was for me. And then I pursued at a consultancy company now. It's different. It's a different work. We have more women at our company. But yes, that makes you step ahead and go further in your professional life. And the more you engage yourself from the early stages, it shouldn't be a job. It can be maybe a workshop. It can be an entrepreneurship experience maybe. Now the young ladies or the young generation are very tended to be the entrepreneurs, are very tended to be like the personal people who have their personal business and their personal ideas. And we can see from here maybe why the new generation is asking for working from home or having a separate job that makes them more flexible, because they are more tended to be their owners, the owners of the business, not only the employees or under people.
And I think UAE offers a lot of startup opportunities for the young generation and the graduating students. And as she said, you have to come out of your comfort zone. There are ample of opportunities waiting for you.
True.
But you have to be confident in yourself. And I think you can achieve a lot with that.
I just want to share a little bit about all of these things that you're mentioning, because that happened to me. That's exactly what happened to me. I was working for Autodesk in Mexico, and I got married to a great, lovely Jordanian Palestinian man. So that's why I moved to UAE. And at that point, I was like, okay, I'm going to work in a company. Maybe I can get transfer, something like that. And in the end, I was lucky enough to find investors who believed in me, and I started Accienta, this new company. So it is software for construction. I didn't know the market. There are many barriers in my mind. How am I going to sell products? How am I going to, meet the new companies, get a certain name in the market? But you can do it if you believe in yourself and you get the right first clients. And so software and technology in general is something that it's coming. A lot of people are scared about it, but it's actually also going to generate a lot of opportunities, especially for younger generations who are maybe more open to all these new tools and how to use them in the construction industry as well. So.
Yeah,
A small point to add to that. I think men are very good at verbalizing how skillful they are and how valuable they are for their employers.
Is that also bragging? I'm just sorry for the men in the audience.
Exactly. I didn't want to use the word. But as women, we shy away and we feel a little bit guilty. But there are ways to remind the employers or potential employers how skillful and valuable they are. So we just need to understand the right language to verbalize those potential skills that we bring. I've spoken to so many. This is my 4th continent that I'm working and leading a team, and I always find the men in my team are very good at saying, I'm so good at ABCD, so I need salary raise because of ABCD reason. When women come and ask for
A pay raise, or
they feel
promotion.
guilty. And I'm a woman, and they're talking to me, and they're feeling guilty, and they say, oh, I'm sorry for having this conversation. I'm like,
That is a good point. I'm sure there's a lot of nodding heads in the audience where you actually feel like you need to apologize before you ask for something. Of, oh, I'm putting you out. I'm so sorry to ask for this.
exactly. So we need to get that sorry out of our head.
Stop
and just go for
apologizing.
it. Yes, there's no reason.
Okay, ladies, so stop apologizing. We touched on something very interesting earlier on the tools and whether or not that opens up a new platform of an audience for the younger generation. And in a culture right now where Instagram, Facebook, all of the social media platforms, everything is, the younger generation is very visual. And what they're driven to and what they're focused on is the perception of what something is. So my question is, how do we raise the perception and the visibility of our industry? How do we showcase and make, not that it needs to be glamorous, but how do we showcase this to expose, you've got girls and young women that are on Instagram as young as 14 years old, 13 years old, et cetera, watching their models and different actresses, and they're looking up to these people. Yes. How do we highlight our industry for a younger generation?
I think the responsibility is across various different groups. I think it needs to start in schools with really young kids, where they start with building blocks and Lego and games, through to primary level school, and then you can then pick your subjects as you go through to high school, pick your electives to go to university. At the moment, the recruitment strategy tends to be companies elect their graduates to go out and recruit. And whilst that sells something, kids also want to see really fun, successful role models in the industry who have made it, to see where they're going to end up.
Yes.
So I think the groups, it's education, it's recruiters, important senior people in industry, in businesses, who have actually got power to say, right, we can actually spend some money and we can spend some time going to educate people.
And I remember, growing up in primary school, and we would constantly have different lecturers and speakers come in. And are any of you, involved with any of the primary age school children, where you go in and do a speaking engagement or kind of give some exposure to the industry? And I'm just curious if anybody has had any experience on that.
Yeah, when it is hands-on, the school children enjoy it a lot. So instead of listening to the talk, because the listening time is reducing in every generation. They can't listen for a longer time. But the minute you give them an activity and said you have to build something, they get really engaged and they love it. And that makes them interesting to what is building about. If I can do something creative in the third dimension, maybe I can really build something different.
I think we should be role models as well, like role models to this generation. We should show okay, I'm a woman and I can do this. We can build buildings, we can do beautiful architecture. Actually, through architecture, you can leave prints, on the skyline of any country you're in, and you can show people that women can do it. It's not only men who can do this. But for us, for example, what we do is, one of the things that we would like to encourage is not students from out of university, you get them in and you mentor them, not students from school. Yeah. Students from school really need to know how will they choose their profession at university if they have no idea what architecture is like. When I was in grade 12, and it was, they were like, okay, choose something. And I had strong passion for design, yet I was not and I was not a grown-up. I did not know exactly where can I, you know, fulfill my design passion, you know. And they told me, oh, you can do graphic design, visual communicate. You can do something where you can work on the office, you know. Not architecture. Architecture, you'll go to site. Architecture, you will. And then I went like, no, you know, maybe I should prove myself, you know, and maybe I should tell them, no, I can be an architect, and you know, I can influence, you know, others, and still being a woman. But what I mean is that what we do is also we get students from grade 12, we take them only for 2 weeks time, not a 1 month time like, you know, other graduates, and we show them, see, this is what we do in the architecture world. It's not what you think, you know, we do. It's much more interesting, it's much more fun. It might fulfill you or it might not, but at least there's a program, you know, from grade 12, but not only from university internships. Because after internship university, they've already chosen what they want. But from school, they have to know what they're going through, you know, or what they're going to see. Or
I spoke to a local school in Dubai about running a competition. They were looking at a canteen refurb, and I said, that's great, you know, obviously we can come in and we can do this, but it needs to be fun for the kids as well. So there was, you know, a big open wall, and we said, well, how about we run a competition? The guys get to plan out, you know, their mural, their painting, and then the winning one goes on the wall. It's really simple, it doesn't cost anything, and it's fun, and the guys actually, you know, the kids get to participate in their project that's coming and be interested. So there are lots of things that we can all do, small businesses, large businesses, we can all get involved.
Yes,
So.
yes, it's true. For us, we are a really small company, and last January we had an intern who came from Jordan. I took her to all the client meetings. Maybe I could have told her, you know, stay in the office and just do this, do that. No, I told her, you're coming with me, even if you don't speak, you learn more by seeing what we are doing than just staying in the office, you know, doing some exercises.
And let me add to that. Well, unfortunately, in my case, back in in my school years, I've never had like a workshop that would tell like exactly what profession you might be interested in to join when you grow up. Apart of only the computer lectures that we used to have actually in schools. However, like nowadays, I can see the inspiration comes first from, you know, home and parents, basically relatives, like the universe just around you. So I can see now kids like now more, you know, even mature, like about what's going on in the market, what professions are there, what they would like to be in the future. So they will get this inspiration from the universe and the parents. Because usually even parents sometimes maybe they have lack of, you know, communication or to say that, okay, I would like you to go to this specific profession, regardless what talent you have, regardless what skills you might gain like during the school years. So they just push the kids just to go to this profession, like with a typical even professions like doctor, certified accountant, or engineers. But now I think, I mean, the universe is like much more mature. Kids are aware about what's going on. They can see people. They can be inspired, and they can explore themselves. Like internet now is available for every kid, you know, in world. So they can just go and explore. They can just try with the free tutorials for coding, for instance. So if you reach like I think maybe years 14, 16, you will be familiar with like coding skills even. Those are all available now online, and I really hope that one day like parents can take an advantage from that and add, you know, to make very talented people like kids, and those are the ones that who will go and fulfill some like great positions in the market.
In terms of training the students from the early years of education, from the school time or the school years, we had an initiative at our university. We had a program for 2 months to train 25 students from grade 9 to grade 12, and it was with the collaboration of the municipality of the region where the university was. So we selected students from different schools, from different ages, and we started training them for 2 months to redesign a street in the same region. So, they went through the designing phase, the concept phase, the schematic phase, how to think what the users will ask for, what do they need. And then we went through the architectural design. So they designed with us, they saw how we are using the tools, the AutoCAD, the drafting, all that. And then we went through the 3D, and I still remember how exciting they were, like when seeing one box going through and being a 3D. So, and then the fabrication, and that was the most like fun time. They were like with the laser cut, and they started fabricating the model, and then with the fabrication of scale 1:1 of the benches and the shading devices and so on. And they went on site, the students, and helped the workers with the painting, with the paving. It was a very interesting experience. And I think maybe such initiatives should be more engaged in the universities. And maybe companies would work on the same track, and maybe should take the same initiative and spare sometimes to be to orient the students from.
Let me tell you also that we're like, I work with Trumbull, and we're pioneers of providing such tool like free software for like you graduated from
Beirut
US,
Arab
right?
University. Yeah.
So.
Beirut Arab University.
Beirut University. So I think American University of Sharjah is our customer. So we have been, providing them with like software free licenses, so they can embed in their university labs, make them available for the students. So we are expecting now students that they are aware about, the software. They tried it in, before they graduated from the universities. And I really push now, like university, to make the graduation project like live, to just stress on the fact that they need to make a proper training, full-time training on site, or to work in a specific tool or software, any solution that could increase the productivity later on, at work, or enhance, the accuracy as well. So I mean, I can see that, the potential is there, and organization already started to implement such, approach or strategy to spread the awareness.
Getting exposure
Exactly,
to this.
yeah.
And I think that's kind of the key, and that's the common thread throughout this entire conversation is from early education of exposing young women and men, regardless of gender. Our industry is a fascinating industry. It's a wonderful, wonderful industry to be in. Obviously, we're all doing it, so we wouldn't pick any other profession, unless you switch jobs 4 times in 4 continents. But it's all about that exposure, and we have those tools to basically encourage young people to get involved in our industry. We have the availability, and Louise, I think you had a very interesting point with being able to get engaged with those, younger children, to give them design charrettes, give them very, very simple things, and, being able to expose these younger generations just to what architecture is, what's engineering, what's construction, what's involved. Because if people get involved with that, then they really see, oh, I didn't even know that opportunity existed. I didn't even know about that profession. Yeah. Then we start going into the tools, and you see the software, and it's amazing. Exactly. So I think this is a wonderful discussion.
Okay.